Oh, questions, of course, let's do it.
Okay, right over here. Yes.
Yes, you.
Hi there.
We'll get you after.
If you were to remake any classic horror film, I think you should be Mono Sensei. I think you'd be great for it.
You know, it's interesting. He asked if I would remake any classic horror film, what would I do? You know, it's interesting. There's certain movies that I've asked about. Like, I was like, what's going on with Basket Case? Because that to me is a masterpiece. But also, you could redo it without taking away from the original, because the original is one of the greatest films of all time, but it's really the last 10 minutes that pushes it into like another stratosphere of brilliant. But also, kind of having done Knock Knock and having done Death Wish, and then even taking Thanksgiving, I was like, I think I got that out of my system. I would certainly produce one if someone came to me with a really cool take, but to me, unless you have an idea that's gonna be like, okay, this is not only a great companion, this is not only a great modernized, updated, like it's a very smart update of it, it can sit along, it will get people to appreciate the old one. That was part of it. I was like, Death Game's a masterpiece, it's completely underseen, and now it's on Joe Bob. It's all, you know, it's like a whole, like it got remastered, like we could use the movie to shine light on the original. So it would have to be one of those films. But really, honestly, I got too many original ideas I want to do. It's the truth. Yes?
Yeah, you know, years ago, a lot of bands had trouble with the music labels and they released something controversial. And a lot of times some bands got dropped or they were forced to make changes to please their shareholders, to keep from rocking the boat with them. How do you intend to handle something that's really controversial that comes your way?
Well, everyone's signing up for something controversial. I'm being very clear from the beginning. And I think there's good controversy and there's like, you know, I want stuff that's gonna be like, oh fuck, that's edgy. But that's the whole thing about iconic, is they're not telling me what to do. Anyone who's signing up for this is signing up for We Trust Eli. And I know that. And whether that's I have several private, high net worth individuals that are just like, you got this. If you, like, we're not gonna judge it, we're not gonna do it. And I think in general, the audience tells you if it's too controversial, if it's too much. And my whole theory is that, you know, time is the only critic that matters. You know, when I told Quentin the idea for Hostel, he goes, don't think about opening weekend, think about that weekend 15 years from now, if kids are still watching it at a sleepover. And they are. So it's like, like Terrifier starting in, it's a long journey. It's a long lifestyle for that. So I said, don't worry about making something that seems like it's too offensive or too crazy, because we'll make those at a price. I'm gonna make those for 2 or 3 million, so they'll make their money back. But even if they don't, over time they will. Even if they don't, we still have 10 others. So you're taking bets on stuff. So I've been very selective about who I take money from. There are some people that are like, we'll give you the money, and it's like, yeah, all you have to do is we'll be just a seat on the board, we'll just have to approve, obviously. And I was like, bye. That's it. This is not a democracy, this is a monarchy. There's one voice here. It's me. I'm the creative director, because I want to make what I want to make. I'm going to be right sometimes and be wrong sometimes, but I have a general instinct as a horror fan for what I want to see and what's been done before. That's the other thing, is these people in the studios don't know the history of horror. I made a fucking show called The History of Horror, talking about the history of horror. And it's since been ripped off countless times, but we won't worry about that.
That's true.
But yeah, without me. Anyways, but I know what's been done, and I know what else you're doing. Like when I get a studio exec suggest that the twist in Thanksgiving be the killer's twin brother, and I was like for certain that they were trolling me. And then I quickly realized that they weren't. And then I can list the 700 movies where that's been done. Then they go, oh. And then I go, I don't ever want to speak to this person again. Because they're not, like, if you're gonna come at me with a suggestion, you better do, the fact that I know you haven't done your fucking homework means I do not respect you. I do not respect your opinion. And I'm only gonna work with people like, there's, you right there, my CEO, John Schnars. Now John is very low key, So John's very funny because John went to Wharton. Someone's like, you should be my friend John for your company. He built up, he was at Google and built up Apple Gladwell's podcast, went to Wharton, went to Penn, like really smart business. He goes, but he also has this kind of like horror podcast called Bloody Good Horror. I was like, what? So that's John. So meanwhile, his co-host like yesterday were like, wait, what? What are you doing? So he's like, so John, for fun for the last 10 years or something, like 18 years, yeah. So like a long time, they've been doing their podcast just for the love of horror movies. So he's like, oh man, I better listen to those old episodes. He said some shit. I was like, don't worry, it's fine. But John is like, he's like, I found someone who is like a total geek about horror, but also someone who knows how to run a company. So that's what I want. I was like, we've got enough horror experts. I just need people that are great and excited and bringing new energy and ideas. So I want to be boutique. I'd rather be like a specialty unit. I remember kind of Miramax in the 90s before obviously Harvey went nuts. Miramax in the 90s was so exciting when they did Trainspotting and Pulp Fiction, and then they're like, we have this new thing, Dimension, and we're doing this movie, Scream. It was like, this company was so cool and so cutting edge. I was like, there hasn't been a new, Neon is releasing some really exciting movies, and they've done extremely well with horror, and it's great, but like, there isn't one company that's like, these are the guys that are making the most fucked up movies, and that's what I want it to be.
Question right here. Yeah.
I know you told about Shed. What was the worst scene to film during house?
The worst scene to film. Now, by worst, do you mean the conditions to film, or like the most disgusting one, or what was the trickiest? All right. Okay. Well, obviously, the torture scenes were pretty intense because I remember like saying to Derek Richardson, I was like, when he was like screaming before, like when it was the Achilles cut, and he has to be like, like, is this, and with actors, I don't rehearse a scream because it's got to be real, and they can only do it 1 or 2 times, and you give them a couple days off after where they don't have to talk, because I know it, you blow out your voice, it's fucking, unless you're like a singer and trained, you're gonna blow out your voice doing that. So I remember saying to Derek, it was very like intense, but he just wasn't quite there yet, and I was like, not that I want to be he didn't want to be let off the hook. He's like, no, I want to like, is it there? I'm like, And I just went up to him, instead of directing him, I go, do you want this to be your last take? And he goes, yeah. I go, then make it your last take. And he went, all right. And he was like, I was like, action. And he jumped up, and the fucking chair, that heavy ass metal chair that I still have, it fucking landed on his toe. And he never broke character. He just fucking went to a place where his eyeballs popped out of his head. And he stayed in the take. And I was just watching, we were just like, whoa. And then afterward, I'm like, he's like, yeah, and he was like crying. Because as Jamie Lee Curtis says, when you scream, your body doesn't know you're acting. Like, there is a physical reaction after that of like being in a crime, being in a traumatic scene, where like, if you want to, there's like the Michael Fassbenders, they're the actors that can like dial it in and out. But for most of us, like when you scream like that, you really, it takes a while, even though you're not like, even though it's fake, to let your body fucking physically calm down from a thing like that, it's just like, holy shit, your heart's racing, then you have no thing, your adrenaline drops, you crash after, like it's a lot. So that torture scene was the hardest one to film. And then the car hit was really, really, really hard because the dropping line, I'm like, just fucking 3 cameras. And this, my God, the stunt girl was so good. She just fucking rolled off the car and boom. But I remember the first time she did it, was like, all right. And she watched it and she's like, we need another one. I'm like, really? And she went, wham. And I thought she killed herself in the concrete. She did. She had a back pad in her head. But doing the hits in the cobblestone, I think she went on to do Xena after Married a Stunt Guy. She was so fucking cool. But I was like, when you watch that, you're like, oh fuck, that is a girl. She's like, we gotta do it. And that's what I learned is that, like, if you're doing these stunts or scenes like that, you gotta fully go for it. Doing it halfway is how people get hurt. Fully going 100%, like carefully planned, is like with Thanksgiving. I was like, it only works if we're all careful, but if we all go for it. And we all listen when we say cut. If someone really falls next to you, pick them up. Like the Thanksgiving trampling, you've got to fully like if we do the half version of it, it's gonna look like shit. If we all look at your neighbor, say hello, meet you, I made everyone introduce themselves, like we're all partners in a scene, but we're gonna go fucking crazy. We get 20 stunt people and 600 extras, and they fucking went for it. They're Canadians, so it's like, cut, sorry. You know? They're like so polite. Americans be like, I thought we should do a movie called Canadian Thanksgiving, where the killer's like, sorry. It was fun.
Okay, we'll take one right there.
I was gonna say, speaking of Thanksgiving, for me, I know it's already cemented as like my yearly movie with the holiday. Like, I forced the whole family to watch it, and I was like, we're watching a holiday movie like this past year.
Amazing.
Yeah, put it on. They were like, okay, that's not my holiday movie. I was like, well, it's mine. So every year, amazing. Speaking of, are there any insights on Thanksgiving too? Because it's gonna be double feature for me now.
Yes. Well, the insight right now is that we were like rushing to try and shoot this spring, and then the fires came. And the fires were so scary and devastating that like, there were so many people affected by it that it was just like, we gotta take a break to see who like isn't gonna lose their house. Because even if it wasn't the actors, there were like crew members, producers, agents, lawyers. Like if one person, lawyer, lost their house, there could, you know, I was like, let's push to the fall. And now everyone's, obviously they're very busy people, so we all want to do it, and we're all kind of circling up about like, we just have like, when's this chunk of time we can all do it, whether that'll be, you know, early fall, late fall, but we want to have it for 2025. But as for the plot details, you will have to wait. But it shall be a worthy follow-up, or I wouldn't do it.
Right here.
Yes?
Okay, so I just have a question about the way that this is broken up with the company, right? Is it's not a producer credit on the movie, right?
No, it is not.
That's not over, so you're not a producer, but you're basically in part buying a stock of it, right?
Correct. 10% of the ownership of the company is being offered to the public.
Right. So then my follow-up with that is, I saw there were certain things in the video that you were saying that were like, basically, oh, X amount will be able to do Zoom calls, X amount will whatever. So do you have any breakdown in the specifications of what that is? Of like what tier of people that will be? Is that people paying in like hundreds of thousands of dollars, or is it people?
We did them all the way up to $1 million. I did like $100, $500, 1,000, 5,000, 250, like crazy stuff all the way up to $1 million. I kill you if anyone wants. It's like I figured some, you know, lunatic billionaires like I want to get killed. That to me was just like the pie in the sky one. We don't need that. I think most people will be doing 100 or 500 or 1,000. But on the, when you get the horror section website in, I think the 19th or the 21st, the page will go live. The 19th, the page will go live. So there's like special, you know, there's a different valuation you get if you invest in the first 48 hours. So if you're first in, you get a better valuation. And all the tiers will be broken down. There'll be a deck on the website that explains absolutely everything that you get.
Yeah, so my only other thing with that is I'm just wondering, when it comes to actually the process with the movies, is like, have you worked out a way that you're going to be internally picking scripts? Is it going to be from people who you're familiar with, and then everyone's buying in on the idea of trusting your judgment on it? Or is it going to be that people are kind of influencing that? Because I feel like it makes sense what you're saying, that you don't want studio heads looking down, but then also how much are people going to know who are on the fan side of it before the movie is like on shelves?
Well, the fans, okay, let's say we would announce the titles. Basically, you're trusting me.
Right.
You're trusting my taste. We're not like doing a voting thing. We're not like, hey, everybody, let's pick. It's just like, Eli knows. These are movies that I want to make, and then there's other directors. I mean, if you look at the directors I produced, whether it's Daniel Stan with Last Exorcism, John Watts with Clown. Clown sat on the shelves for almost 4 years. We shot that movie in 2012, and then Bob Weinstein said, Eli, nobody wants to see a movie about clown eating children. I'm like, Bob, I think this movie is bigger than you realize. I think people want to see a fucked up clown movie. He goes, it's too fucked up, it's too dark, you can't. I was like, I think John Watts is pretty talented. He's not like just some kid from Brooklyn. You know, John is like a legit talented guy, and this movie is fucking great. And if you put it out there, as we agreed you would, he goes, well, we can't put it out in theaters. It's just too disturbing. I go, that's what fans want, Bob. And he goes, nope. And he put it out on video. And this was before then It comes out. You know, then Terrifier. I was like, over and over, Terrifier 3. I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you. So we're going to do a sequel. John and I have an idea for clowns. The 2 turns into an S, the S turns into a 2. So, like, we have an idea and a whole mythology. We have a clown prequel we want to do. set in like, you know, like do like the Robert Eggers version of it. Like we have so many ideas for the Clowniverse that we never did because they never pushed it, and we're like, we didn't want to go through that again. I mean, and Bob Weinstein was completely fucking wrong. Just as when I found Ana de Armas, who spoke zero English and learned it phonetically for Knock Knock, with Keanu Reeves pre-John Wick, and I said, I think this movie could be a thing. I think Anna's gonna be a star. I think Keanu is gonna have a Keanu-sance. They were like, no, we'll go, you know, to 10 theaters and home video. So it's just like, you know, I'm just so tired of explaining myself to people that aren't in the culture and that sit in offices and think they understand what fans want. So when you're buying it, that's why I want people to buy the label. You're buying into the company. That way it's not on one movie. And that way if we do a live event or if I do a video game, I mean, there's a whole component that we can go into or not, but it'll be explained on the site where everything you invest, you can hold your investment and then the company cashes out one day and you get paid. Or every single thing you do will be tokenized on a blockchain. So in 18 months, if they're trading at triple the price, you can sell it, you can cash out early. So and then we want to start using the blockchain to, okay, you remember the horror section? Here's 1,000 NFTs for free, because you remember, do whatever you want with them. You guys can trade them, sell them, keep them, but these are gonna get you, okay, now we're gonna do a live event, this will get you this there, this will get you the first tickets in, you have the NFT, you just build the culture so that we're all connected to it. But I want to build something where as I'm doing it, here's the first design, here's the first photos. Anyone that bought into the company, Eli's going to do a Zoom to explain what the next slate of movies are. Here's the first artwork for it. And just make everybody a part of the process so that by the time the movie comes out, you feel like an emotional connection to it. You know what it is, and like we've kind of got everyone up to speed. We've all kind of been part of the process together. That's the dream anyways. I mean, like, who knows? I mean, that's what I'm building. So if people want to be part of it, or you're like, fuck it, I don't want to, I'll just go see it when it's in theaters. That's okay too. It's really just to give fans the option to get more. You know, before you had to be a credited investor to invest in a movie, but Republic cracked it so that they're the credited investor, we invest through them, but it's all, I mean, they're like a publicly traded SEC registered thing. So it's not Kickstarter where you're giving them money for a credit, it's actually buying fractional ownership in the company.
All right, guys, we have time for one last question. So who is going to have that? Let's go back here.
Dude, fuck Hanover. Although I was corrected, the Plymouth people said it's actually fuck Duxbury. That's when they really get it. But let's get a question.
Okay, over here.
So thanks for being here, and congratulations on the horror section.
Thank you.
And you talked about Terrifier 3 and Art the Clown, and Art started out as a short film. Do you
Yes.
think anyone having a shorts division?
Well, I don't know if we're gonna. I would like to do something like that. We're actually there's a company that puts out short films that has approached us about collaborating on something. And you know, I've always been about, look, when I had Crypt TV, I was always about helping give breaks to the next generation of filmmakers. And when I made The Haunted Museum and Urban Legend, it was a great way for me to kind of find awesome filmmakers out there. It's like, here's a half an hour one that you can use to prove, like Justin Harding, you know, did my episodes of Haunted Museum and Urban Legend, and then he did that movie Carved on Hulu that was fantastic. So he was able to use those. So I'm all about helping, you know, whether it's, you know, John Watts or Daniel Stam or, you know, any of the Soska sisters, Gigi Guerrero, any of those directors that I've supported that started with shorts. I mean, because I started with short films, I'm a huge believer in that. So I'm trying to figure out whether we have a division or whether we have a mechanism partnering with someone who does that, where these are the horror section's picks, and we sort of do it, you know, like, well, these are the movies, these are the short films, and whichever ones are the best, maybe those are the ones that we adapt. You know, we help them adapt it into a feature film, but they're kind of proving it with a short film first. So it's definitely something that we're already talking to a company about. But thank you guys, thank you so much. I gotta tell you, it's really, I came here, it's a pleasure. Again, this is for us. I'm doing this regardless, so you're welcome to be part of it. I will be here tomorrow. I have advanced copies of Red Light Disco, which is my groovy Italian disco album. It's going to come out the 21st, but you guys can get it first. And please just come by and say hi. I'll be here tomorrow. But this is it's really a pleasure. Thank you for welcoming me back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please